Hi everyone, I'm Nicola from Elimee Designs, and today I'm going to be showing you how to change colours in your work when you are using a single crochet stitch. Now, as you can see, I've already worked up a fair amount of this pattern, but I'm by no means finished, so I've got plenty of room to show you. All you need is the project that you're working on and then the colours that you want to introduce, and so you can either have your new yarn in balls or on bobbins, depending on how long you're going to be using that colour for and how much yarn you're expecting to use. So if I take you up to where I am at the moment, so I've already worked part way across this row because these colours have already been established. Now I'm going to show you how to introduce a new colour. So this pattern only uses two colours. This is the Aphrodite cushion cover by Elimee Designs. And so I'm going to show you how to change to the cream yarn. So all you want to do is to make a loop with your yarn, and on your hook, so the last, oh, I'm a bit wobbly there, sorry. On the last stitch before you change colour, I've still left two loops on the hook. I haven't made that final yarn over pull through, and that's so that I get a nice clean colour change. So I'm going to pop that loop on my hook. I'm going to pull it through those two loops, and that's finished that last single crochet in the pink. Next, I'm going to use my cream yarn to make however many single crochets the pattern calls for. Now, in order to do this neatly so that the front and the back of your work both look nice, you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch, but make sure that you pull that tail over the top of your hook so that you're going to work over it. So you're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through two loops to make your single crochet. You're then going to make however many single crochets that your pattern calls for. Let me just make a few more here. And each time you're going to be working over that short tail. Oh, excuse me, a little bit of hair there, in order to keep your work nice and tidy. Now on that last single crochet, again I'm going to leave two loops on the hook, and if this first single crochet, the top is looking a little bit flappy, you know, there's a bit too much yarn there, then all you need to do is to pull on this shorter tail, and that tightens it up for you, keeps it nice and tidy. So we're now going to drop both pieces, so both the short and the long tail, to the back, because this is the front of my work, so all of my tails are going to the back. And I'm now going to switch to pink. So again, all I'm going to do is make a loop and pop that onto my hook, pull it through those two loops to finish that last cream single crochet. I'm going to use my hook to go through the next stitch, make sure that that short tail comes over so that I'm working over it, holding it in place and making that single crochet. And we're going to keep doing that again for the desired number of stitches. Same as before, if this first single crochet just looks a bit too big at the top, you just gently pull on that short tail to tighten things up. Same with the white, if that last stitch looks a bit too flappy, then you can just pull on your tail just to tighten it up a little bit. And you're going to keep changing colours in this same fashion as many times as needed. So now that I've shown you how to introduce a new colour, next I'm going to show you how to work subsequent rows where you're using the same colours again, but keeping your work as neat as possible on both the front and the back, assuming that the back will be showing at the end, in order to keep your work looking as beautiful as possible, and a credit to all of your hard work. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so you've already seen how to change colours when you're introducing a new colour into a single crochet project. Now I'm going to show you some best practices for when you are changing colours going across your row that you've already introduced, just so that it stays nice and neat looking. So as you can see, we've got two colours but 5 different bits of yarn coming across the top of our work here. So we're going to start, as is tradition, on the top right hand corner. I am right-handed, so that helps. And let me just pull out my stitch marker. Now I'm just going to quickly do the chain 1 and turn that I didn't do at the end of the last row, so that we are now at the start of this row. Now, as per my pattern, I'm going to work the desired number of stitches in pink, and just remember I am working in single crochet. Excuse me while I pull a little bit more yarn out. And I will meet you again when we come to change colour. Okay, so we are now ready to switch colours. For my final pink single crochet, I have left the 2 loops on the hook. So I haven't done the final yarn over, pull through 2 loops to finish the stitch, because I want to do that using the next colour. So we're going to set aside our pink and we're going to pick up our cream. Now, as you can see, we're working into these 2 loops, which is not directly above the cream. So yes, we can just yarn over and pull through, but we just need to make sure that we don't hold this cream yarn too tightly, otherwise it's going to distort the shape of our project. We're then going to work a single crochet into the next stitch, because that's going to be a cream one. However, it's really important to make sure that where we've pulled that cream along stays above the hook. Otherwise it's going to look a little bit messy on the back of our work. So we're now going to do our single crochet. There you go, we've swapped from pink to cream, and we're now going to continue in the cream for the desired number of stitches, at which point I will slow down and talk to you again. Okay, so we're about to change back to the pink. Exactly the same, we're not going to be going above a pink stitch, so we're going to drop our cream yarn, pick up our pink tail, and we're going to pull it through those 2 stitches, again being really careful not to pull it too tight. When we pop our hook through to make that next stitch, remember we need to keep that pink bit above our hook so that it's nice and tidy on the back. Then we can continue to make our pink stitches as normal. Now, once you've worked your stitches in a given area, if on that last stitch, because of the pulling through a new colour, it's not as tight as you would like, all you need to do is gently tug on the tail at the back of your work. Now I'm just going to work this next section of pink and come back and show you when I get back to the cream. Okay, so we are almost ready to turn back to the cream colour. However, I do need 1 more pink stitch before we change, and as you can see, that's going to end up at the top of a cream stitch. So what we need to do is pop our hook through the top of that cream stitch. Now we tip our work forwards, and you see where this cream tail is? We pull it over the top of our hook. Now we can now work the single crochet with the pink as normal, but this just makes sure that we're not going to have a bit of cream kind of moving in a funny shape across the back, again just to keep it nice and neat. So we work again with any last stitch, we leave the 2 loops on the hook and we switch colour. Now before we start working our single crochets in the cream, we're going to tip our work forwards again and make sure that this little bit here where we've pulled it up to go through that stitch is as tight as we want. We don't want baggy bits of yarn flapping around on the back, particularly if the back of your work is going to be visible on the finished product. We can then switch back to the cream and work our desired number of stitches. Now again, I want to do the last stitch of cream, but it goes on top of a pink stitch. So same again, I'm going to pop my hook through that pink stitch, tip my work forward, make sure that that pink tail comes over the hook so it's going to stay nice and tidy, pick up my cream again and work that last single crochet. We're then going to drop the cream, pick up the pink, just make sure I've got a little bit to work with, tip our work forwards, pull just to make sure it's nice and tight, but not too tight. We don't want to distort the shape of our work. And then continue, as before, making our pink stitches. Now what I'm going to do is, once I have finished the end of this row and coming the other way on the reverse side of my work, again I'm going to show you a few more tips on how to keep things nice and neat. Okay, so I've just worked that final pink stitch on the other side of my work. As this is the side that I'm leaving my tails, I have run my tail underneath the stitch before it goes round the back of the project, just again to make sure things stay nice and neat. Exactly as before, you're going to pick up the cream tail and you're going to pull it through those 2 loops. But now you can see what I meant about that bit on the back that you can see where you pulled it across. So when you work your first cream stitch in the pink stitch, just make sure that where you've pulled it across, that little bit here, stays above your crochet hook. And then work that single crochet. Now again, you can still see where it pulled across just here. So I find that for the next stitch, before I make it, I like to wiggle under that bit there, then go through my stitch as normal and make that single crochet. So it just makes it that little bit neater. Again, I'm going to finish making the number of cream stitches that I need for this section, and then I will come back to you. Okay, so we're back in a similar position again, except this time we're going from cream to pink. So I've just worked my last single crochet in the cream, and I'm going to use the pink to finish that stitch, but it is pulling across the work because I'm doing my next stitch into a cream stitch, not a pink one. So I should go under that little bit there before I go through the cream stitch to do my pink one. And then I'm going to do the same again for the next stitch, just to catch the bottom part of where it pulled across. And there we go, nice and neat. And now I can work my single crochets as normal. Again, I will slow down again and show you what happens when I get to the next section. Okay, so I still have one more pink stitch to do, but now that we're on the back of our work, you can see that I've got this cream tail flapping around in the wind. In order to make sure that it's caught and stays nice and neat and doesn't leave a kind of flappy loop, before I do that last stitch, I'm going to place my hook under that loop and then go through my stitch. It just brings it up to the top of the work. Again, then I do my last stitch, leaving those 2 loops on the hook, and because I'm on the back of the work, I'm going to leave my tail going across the front here, and then going to just move that ball of yarn around to the other side and switch to the cream. So just like we did before, we're going to pull slightly just to make sure that the bit that we've pulled up isn't loose and flappy, make it sure it's nice and neat, and we're then going to pull through the 2 loops on our hook and continue our single crochet as normal for the desired number of stitches. I'll show you that one more time when it comes to change back to the pink again. So again, I need to work one more stitch in the cream before switching to the pink, but my next stitch is pink, which means I've got this tail to deal with. So my hook goes under that tail, then through the stitch to finish that last single crochet. My tail goes across the front of my work and then move the yarn around. So that now I can safely pick up my pink. You can see it's a little bit loose here, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a tug before I start working. Pull through those 2 loops and then carry on working pink stitches as normal. Now the same principles apply no matter how many colours you're working with. Obviously with slight adjustments depending on whether you're working on the right side or the wrong side of your work. But hopefully this has given you some insight on how to change colours in a single crochet project and keep it all looking nice and neat so that the front and the back don't actually look too dissimilar. Hopefully you have found this tutorial to be helpful. If you have any questions or there are any other tutorials that you'd like me to make, just leave a comment below. Otherwise, until next time, happy crocheting!